studio Istolia has been closed down. Following the cancellation of the project, the Square Enix-founded studio had in the works. Square Enix confirmed as much to United States Gamer, noting that it is taking appropriate steps to assign studio staff to other projects within the Square Enix group. Following the studio's closure, Studio Istolia itself opened its doors in 2017 under Farmer Tales of producer Hideo Baba, though Baba departed both Istolia and Square Enix last month to make room for the next generation. The studio's goal had been to create new properties in partnership with Square Enix, and the now-cancelled fantasy RPG project, Prelude Room, was to be its first project. The folks over at Eurogamer have put together an extensive feature that attempts to understand what went wrong at Payday 2 maker Starbreeze, which recently filed for administration, and saw its CEO Bo Anderson depart with immediate effect. As you can imagine, there were a huge variety of factors behind the Swedish developer-publisher's demise. But it looks like the decision to switch the development of all titles from the studio's in-house engine to Valhalla was absolutely critical. Indeed, according to the current and former staff who spoke to Eurogamer, the move to purchase Valhalla for 6 million in company stock raised eyebrows almost immediately. Those tasked with using the engine claim it was essentially a renderer. When they first got it, there was not even a file open button. When we got it, said one staffer, it was impossible to use. And this is when it all started to get a bit fucked up. Even now, that sounds like something of an understatement. Another employee charged with building over KC Walking Dead, which was only recently delayed on consoles, recalled how the engine was entirely unworkable. It means the team was fighting an uphill battle since day one, except this hill sounds like Mount Everest, and could not even develop new tools to make their life easier, because it did not have a solid enough foundation. In most cases it was like the engine was fighting against you. It was taking too long to develop to a decent level of usability, recalls another team member. Valhalla felt to me it was barely 50 or 60% of the way in terms of usability and stability. It was just not good. Like most engines, it had good potential, but it was not in a good place for people to properly develop a game. That was the problem. It was just way too far behind in the pipeline. After 2 years of production with Valhalla, Starbreeze announced The Walking Dead would be shifting over to Unreal. It was a huge blow for the team, who'd been calling for the switch from day one, and were now faced with canning a huge amount of work. All in all, it's a morbidly fascinating tidbit that only tells a small part of the whole story. If you want to hear more, be sure to check out Eurogamer's full write-up. Halo developer 343 Industries announced earlier today that it is partnering with Limbitless Solutions, a non-profit providing prosthetic limbs for children, to offer Halo-themed, bionic prosthetics to young kids. This is yet another heartwarming example of studios collaborating with important organizations to help those in need. And it's always important to highlight the good work being done. The studio explained the partnership in a blog post, explaining how it was born from the desire to inspire and help others. There are, however, times where opportunities to inspire heroes and deliver wonder present the scope of game code, cutscene scripts, or sandbox balancing. The 3D printed limbitless bionic prosthetics are functional and cost-effective. Best of all, the non-profit organization donates their prosthetic arms completely free of charge to recipients and their families. As for where Halo comes in, Beginning in 2019, Limitless will add two special Halo-themed options to their lineup of designs for their 3D-printed bionic arms, with the first being a recreation of the Master Chief's own MK-Y armor. The entire post goes into more detail about the collaboration and the kind of work Limitless is doing, so be sure to read it there. Valve's year-in-review post roundups nearly every major change the company pushed to Steam in the last calendar year, alongside some nifty numbers about the platform's performance throughout 2018. And while game devs will likely find the fact that Steam's have 47 million daily active users in 2018 averaged 1.6 million new purchasers per month, the goals for 2019 shared at the end of the Steamworks post should be of particular note to those devs thinking about bringing games to Steam in the future. Valve has outlined 8 different features and changes it plans to roll out in 2019, with a major discoverability change leading the pack. The company says it's working an entirely new recommendation engine to pair Steam users with games that are likely to be of interest to them. The post notes specifically that the new engine will be powered by machine learning, but that the company is also building more broadcasting and curating features to aid with discoverability as well, since algorithms are only a part of our discoverability solution. Discoverability has been a hot ticket issued for game developers on Steam in the last few years, as the volume of games released on the platform continues to release, and 2018 saw a number of changes, both good and bad, to Steam's features in that category. Most recently, developers spoke out about an apparent bug and accompanying intentional change that shifted the way more like this recommendations worked on Steam. The 2019 roundup also covers plans to roll Steam Trust out to every developer on the storefront. That would give devs access to the trusted matchmaking technology Valve uses to power Counter-Strike Global Offensive, a tool that gives developers more information on those playing their multiplayer games to determine how likely a player is a cheater or not. Along with the new recommendation engine, Valve says its official Chinese launch of Steam is coming in 2019, alongside a rework of the entire Steam client and library based on last year's Steam chat changes, a new events system for Steam communities, expanded Steam TV broadcasting, a new Steam chat mobile app, and a version of Steam built specifically for PC cafes across the globe. Information on all of those changes and the rest of Steam's 2018 review data can be found over on Steamworks. Given the current state of the games industry and anxieties like job security or worker conditions plaguing developers, there needs to be alternative ways to run indie and mid-sized studios. Worker cooperatives could be the solution. Developers from several studios spoke about the benefits and drawbacks of worker cooperatives, what they are, and how fellow developers can go and confidentially form their own. Scott Benson, developer on Night in the Woods and co-owner of the worker co-op The Glory Society, opened by outlining the positives of an egalitarian games studio. There's not some one way over your head that's sucking up the surplus value of your labor after you get paid. Benson begins. In worker cooperatives, everyone is sharing in that and discussing how that's distributed. Unlike a traditional AAA studio hierarchy, a worker co-op is business-owned, operated, and controlled democratically by its workers who share in the profits of their labor. Some are more structured when it comes to organization. It boils down to one person, one's vote. It's a democratic sort of setup. Bethany Hottenberry, fellow developer young Knight in the Woods, and co-owner of the Glorious Society championed, sharing the history of worker co-ops. Cooperative societies have existed for centuries in various forms. Worker cooperatives rose to prominence during the Industrial Revolution, in response to growing mass production and the emergence of industrial capitalism. She shared, they have often sprung up in greater numbers during economic and labor crises. We are in the midst of a new wave of worker cooperatives being founded. There's more unionization happening, because we are in a difficult time, she added. Most studios operate under a top-down structure, which includes the boards, including my higher-ups, shareholders,